Ohio State has started spring football. Letterman Rowe has all the latest. Spencer Holbrook, Tim May, a lot of good stuff over there. The theme for them right now during spring practice, and Ryan Day spoke to this, is the effort they're making right now to kind of turn the page from what last season was, because anytime you win the national championship, it's very easy to have that hangover. It's very easy to look back at last season and wear those rings and, wear the national title gear around campus and kind of feel yourself a little bit. They are making every effort internally from a leadership standpoint to not have that be the case. Ryan Day said they met with their leadership committee, and some of the committee, I don't know if this is going to happen or not, but they're asking for some of the signage around the facility that talks about national championship a season ago to be taken down. The way Ryan Day worded it is they're making an effort to reinforce and rebuild the culture. So we didn't win a national title. Last year's team did. That wasn't us. I love this from Ohio State, dude, because we've seen Ohio State at their best. They got an edge to them. They got some chip on their shoulder. So the fact that they're not trying to have that national title label on this year's team, I think is a very good sign. I think it shows some maturity. The quarterback battle is always going to be a conversation anytime you have uncertainty in Columbus. It's Julian Sayin, it's Lincoln Kienholz. At the time of us recording this, it's been one practice, so you don't really want to lean too much on anything thus far. All of it's been routes on air from what I can gather. I will say this, though. According to the folks at Letterman Rowe, you watch Julian Sayin drop back, and it's got something different to him, man. It's got some different to him. Ball jumps out of his hand, quick release, all those things. I truly believe that he will win the job. I also truly believe we won't have any clarity on this until August. Now, if he doesn't win the job until August, that does not mean that Julian Sayin isn't having a great spring practice. It doesn't mean that he hasn't done enough to win the job. It just means that that's kind of how Ryan Day operates. Like, if you go look at previous quarterback battles, even when it was Justin Fields or it was C.J. Stroud, like, you knew those were the guys for Ohio State. They weren't named the starter until fall camp. I think that's going to be the same case with this. I'm not counting out Lincoln Kienholz, but even just hearing that out of routes on air, it's not everything, but I do think it's spring, so we're taking a lot from a little, but that is right in line with what we expected out of Ohio State this far with the quarterback room. Now, the running back room, this is the gotta-have-it group for me when we talk about Ohio State, because last season, that was kind of their I don't want to say it was their go-to because what they were in the passing game was so elite, but you lose a lot on the ground with TreVeyon, Henderson, and Quinshon, Judkins, and Will Howard now gone to the league. You lose over 2,000 yards of production on the ground. Now, James Peoples is back for them in that running back room. They're impressed with him and how he has matured physically. I was really impressed with him, too, when we were down on the field before the national title game, just looking at that guy's lower body and looking at the calves. Like, dude's put together. There's a chance for that to sound a little bit weird as I say it out loud, but I'm just telling you, man. I know how running back's supposed to be built, and he's built like it. C.J. Donaldson, transferring from West Virginia to Ohio State. He's trimmed down, it sounds like, a little bit and moving quicker, so good for him, and they're, I'm sure, going to count on him this upcoming season. Bo Jackson was described as college ready over at Letterman Rowe. He was a top 10 back for us at On 3 in this previous cycle. Listen, anytime your name is Bo Jackson and you played running back, yeah, okay, we'll hand you the rock. We can probably find a way to get you involved. I'm curious to see how many running backs they play this upcoming season, but to hear that they look good so far is an encouraging sign. You have got to have that next season for Ohio State. Have got to have that. Because we all understand Jeremiah Smith is the best player in college football. Nobody is, I don't think, during spring practice going to have a lot to say around Jeremiah Smith and what he is next season for them. But how do you maximize him? By keeping those safeties at a reasonable depth so they can't just totally commit to playing him over the top. So you can get a little bit of that vertical presence. I think Julian Sayin will be good enough to get him the football. If he's not, it'll be Lincoln Kienholz's job or it'll be TreVeyon St. Clair. But having something in the running game with that running back room is paramount for setting the table for this offense. Now, the defensive line, a couple of guys I want to highlight here. Letterman Rowe was impressed with Edric Houston and how he looks early on. He's a guy now that's been in the system for a while. Guy debuted for Georgia, had a chance to go to some other SEC schools, has waited his turn to some degree now, and they feel like this is probably his chance to go and make some noise here in 2025. In addition to him, C.J. Hicks has made the move from linebacker down to edge. Ryan Day talked about his speed and the power that he brings, even though he's not the most physically imposing guy like a Bosa brother or a Chase Young. The defensive line during last year's college football playoff run for Ohio State really led the way. The entire defense was awesome, but the way that Ohio State was able to just, aggravate every single quarterback they played against, ultimately got them into the college football national title game with that strip sack of Jack Sawyer all the way from, 80 yards to the crib against Texas. That still has to be there. Now Larry Johnson's still coaching the defensive line, so you feel a lot of confidence in that. But kind of a theme of spring practice for Ohio State is, okay, we lost some really known commodities. Jack Sawyer to the league, JT Tuimoloau to the league. How does this next crop step up, and how are they able to, continue that same temperature that Ohio State had a season ago? Very curious to see, but overall, those are some guys they're pleased with here through a practice and a half, maybe 2 practices by the time that you're watching this right now. But again, Letterman Row, all the intel you want, a lot more notes over there, so go get dialed in. The entire team from Spencer Holbrook, Tim May, crushing it, so make sure you're dialed in.